Good evening. Welcome to the Trails Committee, April 14th, 2021. I'll read the governor's order and then we'll get started. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Southborough Trails Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with the right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southborough's website at https://www.southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch or participate in the meeting may do so in the following manner by finding the meeting at https://www.southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of meetings of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings, such as soon as possible after the meeting. Welcome. So, call the meeting to order at 7:33. And our first order of business is to approve the minutes from our last two meetings. That's going to be February 9th and March 16th. Has everyone had an opportunity to take a look at the minutes from February? We'll just start with that one. Okay. Any questions or edits? I have two edits that I want to share. I think I could share my screen, but if you're looking at it, we'll just do it that way if that's comfortable. So on the previous minute approval for January 11th meeting, it's noted as approved 3-0 when I think we had 4 people voting. So, and I also, in the second bullet, Luisa Vargas needs to be added to that list. So the roll call vote was for Catherine Sharma, Satyendra, Tom, and Luisa. And I just realized we didn't do a roll call attendance for this meeting. So good. So let's do that. Let's do a roll call attendance. So when I call your name, please say you're present or here. Isabel Murphy. I can't hear you.
Yeah, mute.
Great. Okay. Satyendra Sharma.
Yes.
Great. Tom McCoolier.
Yes.
And Catherine McKee is here. Great. So those were the two edits I had for the February. Can I get a motion to approve the February 9th meeting minutes?
Yes, I vote to approve the February 9th minute.
Great. And do we have someone to second that?
I'll second it.
Great. Let's do a roll call vote. Isabel Murphy.
Yes.
Tom McCoolier.
Yes.
Satyendra Sharma.
Yes.
And Catherine McKee. Yes. Great. Thank you all. So next, the minutes from the March 16th meeting. And these, I think I downloaded two sets of the wrong one, of the other one. So this one, I have some edits, mostly good, but I had some edits to the ADA section. So I think what might have happened was some of the notes got merged because we had two ADA issues that we were discussing. One is ADA compliance of the trail, the Peninsula Trail, and then the town just happens to be going through an ADA self-evaluation. So what I'd like to do is just clarify those two sections. So if you're comfortable with that change, then we can make those edits and then approve the minutes as presented.
So if I understand you correctly, you just want to just separate the two when we're talking about the trail and then the town awareness.
Yeah, number 5 has a combination of the ADA self-evaluation and transition plan public information session. It has a bit, they're combined in a way that's a little confusing. So I'd like to separate those out. One is we discussed the ADA compliance, the self-assessment that the town's going through. The survey wasn't really applicable to trails, but we would like to be involved in the conversation and next steps. So when they have a public listening session, and then we also have ADA compliance with the Peninsula Trail. So I just wanted to separate that out a little bit.
That's the way I came to the conversation.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I remember it.
Great.
So,
thank-
right,
So do we
yeah.
want to make a motion to amend or approve as amended?
Okay, so I make a motion to approve section 5 of the minutes from March 16th as amended.
And I will second that.
Great. And so just to clarify the motion, it was to change section 5 as we discussed, and then approve the minutes, the entire package as amended. And Tom, you agreed that you're seconding that
Yes.
what I've clarified. Great. Thank you both. And let's do roll call vote. Isabel Murphy,
Agreed?
Tom McCoolier,
Yes.
Satyendra Sharma,
Yes.
and Catherine McKee. Great. Thank you very much. Now we're current again. I don't have to get that little notice, which makes me nervous. Okay.
So one question. So this is, you are saying section 5, section 6, I thought. ADA self-regulation is that, or you didn't get my minutes that I sent to you last Wednesday? Is that the same thing?
Oh yeah, these are your minutes. Yeah, I was working
Oh.
from your minutes. Yeah, I just wanted
Oh,
to
okay.
clarify the ADA piece.
Okay, but this is, originally it was in section 6, but
Oh, I see. So I see. So I did change something because I was trying to match it up with the agenda.
oh, okay.
So I
Oh.
apologize. I
No
did
problem.
modify. So what I do is I take the agenda next to the
Yeah.
minutes. And if I were somebody that was not on this committee, I would, kind of want to link them up. So that's what I like to do is
Oh,
link
okay.
them up with the agenda. So thank you for pointing that detail out. You're right. Okay, so next topic is the Troop 92 Spring Community Service Project that we met with Ken Boy.
Yeah, I think it was Boy. Yeah.
Thank you. Last time, and we have, so we talked about doing the 9/11 field. I think that's what we settled, the 9/11 loop. That's what we settled on. So I did a quick survey. I'm going to share my screen because now I'm getting really good at this technology. So here we are, 9/11 field, and the loop is this way. Can you see my? So I did a quick survey of the trail, and it's in fairly good shape, which is great news. And there is some cleanup that we need to do. So we could clear some branches. We could, identify, make the trail tread maybe a little bit more with some rakes and stuff like that. There are some limbs that we can cut down with hand saws, so we don't need chainsaw. That's great. And I did, hey, Tom, are you out there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Not you, sorry, my Tom. Hey, Tom, can you pass me that box on the floor that has those scrapers? Sorry, it's I have props tonight for our pleasure, our viewing pleasure. So I've ordered the paint. We're gonna blaze the trail using a paint. And it's special paint for trees and trails, so it's safe for the environment. It's inside the box. Oh, I found it. Here's one. I found it. Sorry, thanks. Okay, can you see what it's a scraper, right? So, and it has a little knob. So it's generally a paint scraper, but you can use these. The idea is for trees that are not smooth. So if the tree is smooth, you can use paint. We'll be using a stencil, but if there's a little bit of bark, we'll take a little bit of the bark off so that it stays. It's not harmful to the tree, but we do want to be careful. We're not looking to dig deep into the tree. So I have 2 of these that we can use, and I think the paint will be here by Friday. So the idea is to have the scouts. There's 5 of them. And we were gonna do a couple, I had suggested 4 dates to the scouts instead of doing, we had talked about doing 2-hour groups, but that's a lot of days in a couple months. If we were to do that to get 8 hours, it's a lot of time. So I was hoping maybe we could do a couple blocks of 4 hours. And if it doesn't work and we needed to cut one of those back, or we have rain days available too. So I had suggested 4 dates. I sent out an email to the committee. So those dates are, if you want to take them down, April 18th, which is this Sunday, the 25th of April, May 16th, and May 23rd. And those are all on Sundays. And the start time would be about 1 o'clock, I think. And so I need to reach out to Ken tonight and just check on with him to see how many we have on for Sunday. So I wanted to check with you guys who might be available to join the initiative this week.
One sec. So Kat, just to clarify, it's all going to be on 9/11, right?
That's a good question. I don't know that it's going to be all on 9/11, and this is why. When I walked it, I wondered if we had 5 scouts show up and some of us. I almost wonder if we could just get the whole thing done in one visit, right? And that's and I might be overthinking it a little bit or oversimplifying. I definitely overthink it. I might be oversimplifying it because most of it, it's not like even, Sati, you remember the trail we did last year. It wasn't like that. It's pretty established. People have been walking it already. We did get DCR permission. I reached out to Jamie Carr. He's comfortable with us doing this. One of the things that will add a little bit of time and might make this a bigger project is there are some spots. The one request that DCR had is that any access point to the water, that we try to eliminate that as a point of entry. So they don't really want people accessing the water. And there are a couple spots that look like people have been doing that. So some of the work we can do is kind of create a natural barrier for people to not go that direction. And so that may take a little time, and there's a few access points like that. So if, for example, I really can't know until we get the scouts out there working, and we can have a backup plan for another day. That's not a problem. There's a couple of options around. So to answer your question, we might be able to all do it in 4 hours, but we might not, right? It depends on how we divide and conquer too. Like if there's a couple of us, we can do the blazing and let the scouts do the trail work with some guidance. There'll be time we'll need to talk about a little training about what we're looking for. So there's that's probably a half-hour discussion. So that might take up some time too. So maybe it's all in one day, but maybe not.
Okay. So yes, I'm available this Sunday.
What time? I think?
1 o'clock.
Okay, 1 o'clock. Okay.
And you don't have to be there for the whole 4 hours. If you can just put a couple hours in, that's fine. I can be there the whole 4 hours.
I can do 1 to 3, but
Okay.
I do have something later.
That's fine.
Yeah, I have a vaccination at
Oh,
Gillette, so yeah, that's.
Good for you. Yay. Okay, so there'll be other times if so that works great.
No, I can come. Yeah, no. After that, 1 o'clock is fine, right?
Oh, okay. Oh, wait, are you getting vaccinated in the morning?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I want you to feel okay. So if you don't feel, if something happens, you're welcome to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Fail.
We'll see.
Okay.
Is this your
DVD.
first or your second?
What?
First, second, or complete?
First.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that covers it. So I'll touch base with Ken and we'll meet at 9/11. There's parking at the field, and obviously masks up and social distancing, and I would wear DEET or whatever tick repellent you prefer to wear. There's not a lot of brush that's going to be close to you, so don't worry, Sati. It's not like the open channel when it needs to be mowed.
That was tough. Yeah.
But you never know. Ticks find their ways to.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I thought we could use yellow as the color for the blazing, and so I got 2 yellow spray paint things. We'll have to kind of practice. I haven't done this before, so I was thinking a circle versus a rectangular shape. Do you guys have a preference? Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I just thought it'd be easier for some reason, to do a circle. I don't know. Anyway, so I'll have stencils for us, and we'll figure that out in a little work plan. And then, so I wanted to just touch base on following up on a conversation we had last week about this. You can see my screen where I'm pointing. So Tom, you had mentioned that people go to the left.
Correct.
So we went to the left because I was like, there's a trail there. Like, people have been walking it enough that there's a trail. And we didn't go all the way because we had already done this loop here. But
Did you stay along the water or did you follow along the road? I'm watching your arrow. That's why I'm
Oh,
asking.
actually, you're right. It goes like this, right? So
Yeah.
I think I went up to about here. I don't exactly know how far it was. I wasn't near the road. So I think we were closer to the water, but kind of not right on the water. So it's kind of like mid-center or
Yep.
something.
Yep.
And do you know how far back it goes?
A lot of the fishermen go around there because they park right next to where it says Acre Bridge, that little bridge. There's actually a bridge there. And they park along there and they fish right there where your cursor is, and they go around in there. So I think those are all, I guess we'll call it fisherman's trail.
Fisherman spot. It's
Fishing spots,
interesting.
which is fine. I mean,
So I don't know. I mean, if DCR was open to this, right? And we're going to amend the agreement when we amend the agreement to include this as a section that we can advertise and stuff. And I don't know where the town line is because Marlboro.
it's right where where that Acre Bridge is, right there.
Oh, so if the trail kind of goes around here.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that is, I don't know how the town line goes horizontal or in an angle, but the town line is right around there.
Okay, so it might be interesting to see if we could create a little trail over there, because oh, here we go. Can you see this?
Yeah, so you can really see the top of that. I mean, it's.
Oh, it's kind of cut in half, right?
Yeah, so.
Oh yeah, no, that's not our property.
It's not their property either.
Who, they?
But
Marlboro?
Catherine, if we go south, remember we were talking about going south and connect it to the end of East Main. I mean, it's a lot bigger, a lot longer.
I've always driven around along Framingham Road, wondered what's over there, but
Nothing.
I don't even know if that's possible.
So if you go down there, so here where it says, you see where it says Framingham Road, Kids Gear Baseball, where you are.
Yeah.
Go north where it says 4. I think it's right around that. Actually, no, I take it back. Where it says, sorry to confuse it. Bottom of your screen, the Framingham Road at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right around there. Stop. Go. No, up the next Framingham Road. Up. Right there. Stop. That's it. Go down. Right around there. There's another road that access. I see. That's where they've been removing all the dead trees and stuff. And there's a trail opening over there. There's a fence and all that stuff. And there's a house right next to it too. So, I mean, there seems to be an access point in there too. So I think all that area is all DCR, nothing there.
Interesting. So
Convert to Google Earth. If you convert to Google Earth, I mean satellite, yeah. If you zoom in a little bit.
Oh.
No, go to the road. Okay, right there where it says, you see where it says Framingham Road, the Ham, go with an RD. Yeah, right there's a trail. I just noticed it the other day because there's no leaves that goes back there. And if you look at all that property, that would be nice loop trail all the way to 9/11.
wait, how would you get to 9/11?
keep on following the water.
So would you go like this?
Yep. I would go like that.
People live
That's-
here.
Well, those people are not right on the water. And then continue right to
So there's the
Pine
point.
Point. Yep.
So you're saying just walk along.
Yeah, it's a big project. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's an interesting perspective, but perhaps not for the scouts, but I like the concept. Hey, meow meow. I like the concept of thinking about what we could do.
Or even that section where you have your mouse, even if we do like a loop, say like you do along the water, instead of going all the way to 911, come back to East Main Street. Like go up there.
East Main. East Main.
Right here, wherever it says, yep, stop right there. That's East Main.
Stop.
So right along, so yeah, take your cursor and go north.
Actually, make it a little bit bigger, just a tad bigger. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah.
See who that is. Right along here.
Yep.
There are lots of people, there's sort of a fake path where people have put it in. Because the goal has been for these people here from Kimberly Park, want to go along here. So it's not well blazed, but there is already a sort of a trail there.
Okay.
So picture, if you will, I mean, this is actually connects to the circuit trail and stuff, but people do park there on East Main. They can, again, it's right outside of downtown. And if we just followed the water and did a loop right back to where it was,
Right.
that'd be cool.
It would be. So is this Main Street Route 30?
That's
This
East
one?
Main. Once you cross the railroad tracks, it's East Main.
Okay. So is this the road, for example, that the reservoir
Yes.
cut off?
Yes.
So it's remnants back here?
No, that's a power line, but
No, I know this is a power line, but remember the history
Yes.
that Andy
right
shared
there,
with us,
exactly.
that this road used to go all the way across.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, that was a fun excursion. Thank you. Yeah. So let's think about that as an option.
Okay,
No, I'll go back.
just so before you scroll in, the point where we were taking all the fishing line and that area is right where your cursor is right now.
Yes. Let's see if anyone's on Google Earth. Just kidding.
Right there. Yep. There's
Yeah.
a power line tower right there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep.
Down there, I got rid of the trash. It was like a half a bag full.
Oh, thank you. Really well, I mean, that's better than more, but it's still sad that it's happening. Why are people just
Somebody likes Bud Lights. I don't know.
all right.
Yeah, I ran there today and there were 2 more bottles, like after it had just been cleaned up. So
Wow.
that was one of the things I'd love to do. I think we still need to do another cleanup all along here.
Okay, so that's a good segue into this next thing. So I think just closing the loop on Troop 92 community service, we're going to start with 9/11, see what we can do. I'm going to ask them to bring loppers, gloves, and rakes. And I'll have, if they have bow saws or stuff, I mean, I guess I have a couple of hand saws. Sati, do you have hand saws? And or Isabel, do you have hand saws that you could bring that we might be able to allow it as? So I'll make sure I have volunteer release forms and COVID forms and photo release forms that are all built into one. Anything else I'm missing that would be helpful? I'll ask them to bring water and stuff.
I have some, but those are kind of like from Toys R Us kind of hand saws, so they'll not be like that much
Okay.
useful. But I can bring loppers.
Okay, yeah. And I actually think that there's not a lot of sawing. There's some sawing. So I'll bring my big boy. I like that thing. And yeah, so I think we'll be covered. So thank you for that. And then, so just as if that doesn't work out to be enough, I think it might be a little early to do some of the trail widening necessarily. We need some of the brush to grow in to do some of the maintenance on the trails. So there is another property in town. I did a walk with Sally Waters from SOLF and Freddie Gillespie from, Open Space. And it's off of Route 85 where they're doing that bridge work, if you're familiar with Route 85 right at the Pike. So SOLF owns the land. There's a little boardwalk back there. And then part of the land, so the town SOLF owns the front part from Route 85 to the town-owned land. And it's like just kind of this piece of odd property that's back there. Some of it abuts the Pike, but not all of it. So there is some highway noise, but there's a nice loop trail. It's called Templeton Woods, or formerly the Templeton, I guess Templetons used to own it and they donated it. There's some plaques that are actually on rocks that are really cool to, don't look at my stuff. You're looking at my stuff. Here we go. I just want to show you some pictures. So it's,
Oh,
yes. So we found some, here we go. This is in the woods. This nice plaque on this rock. So the Watkins Woods donated to the town of Southborough in 2000. They put this plaque up, right? So that's cool. And so this trail needs a lot of TLC. And by the way, there's salamanders that they have babies in there. They laid their eggs. So that's kind of exciting. So there's some pools back there that could be certified vernal pools. I hope they don't mind, but this is, a bench that's just in the middle of the woods. And it's just this cool little section. And look at this, another plaque. So this is the land was given to Southborough Open Land Foundation by Martha Templeman in 1996. So, it would be, go ahead.
right before the Pike?
On Route 85, yep.
Okay.
So if you're heading and the Pike's in front of you, it's going to be on your left.
So right where, okay. Cool.
Well, north or south of the Pike?
Well, if you're heading,
No matter which way you're heading, the Pike's going to be in front of you.
then I don't know how to answer that question.
That was really bad. That was so bad, Tom.
Okay. So, I think they wouldn't be able to do the project necessarily. Here, let me get something I can show you. They can't necessarily do that project in the time they have, but we could start a cleanup.
Yeah, so cleanup?
Yeah, so that needs a lot of TLC. There's branches all over. So what we could do, like if we wanted to start that project, it would be kind of a piecemeal thing where we could start it, and then we would maybe need to organize volunteers over the course of the summer to kind of work through I don't have it tracked for mileage yet. It's not huge, but it's definitely more than the BCT loop connector.
So I've got a possibility. There's a couple of Girl Scouts who are going for their silver badge, which is similar to,
Yes.
okay. And they're looking for a project. One of the things they were thinking about was putting up containers for the fishing line. And we mentioned that was kind of done. But
Yep.
if they can kind of take this project on themselves,
Okay.
start to finish, that might give them the opportunity to not only get their badge, but to do the whole book and all the things they need to accomplish.
Okay, that's very interesting. And they might be able, well, I think it's too late to do a vernal pool certification, but that would be kind of a cool piece. But I think you have to identify, so the time is now where the salamanders are, and they have to have meet a few criteria, and it takes a few years to certify, but if they did the initial legwork, but I think you need a little bit more. So I'm over speaking, but this is the section here. I'm going to pull out a little bit. This is Route 85. Here's the Pike, right? So this is right in here.
Can you share your screen again?
Oh, am I? This is fun. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to pull out, and this is 85. This is Route 9, right? This is the Pike, Oregon Road over here, Breakneck Hills here. So I'm going to scroll in. This is Rock Point.
Mhm.
It's over here.
Okay.
Yep. So if there's some parking, unofficial parking on the side here, and if you were just to kind of hunt around, you'll see some planks like bog bridges that are there to kind of walk over some of the wet areas. But if you go in too deep, you'll get lost because it's not clear. It's a big undertaking. We could do a site walk, Isabel, if you wanted to, and kind of do it. I would obviously get permission with Solve to look at it, but that might be a great idea.
Okay.
So do you want to lead that? We can get together sometime in the next couple weeks and do a quick walk, and then maybe even you want to invite them maybe and let them see it with us.
Yeah, so let me reach out to the scout leader and mention this idea, because as I mentioned, they had an idea about doing the receptacles.
Yep.
I said, let's get in touch. I'll talk to her tomorrow and see if this is something they'd like to do.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. And on this topic, spring cleanup, we were Nicholas Cito from Troop, I think he was from Troop 92, but he contacted me not from Troop 92, but on behalf of the Algonquin High School Student Council, and they're interested in volunteering to do some cleanup for us, trail cleanup or trash cleanup, whatever we need.
Yep.
So I think I asked him for clarification. Is this like a 1-day thing, a couple hours? That's kind of how I feel it is. That's what we did last time. So they ended up, not the council helping us, but remember, he was one who they couldn't get the council pulled together in a time frame. So he ended up getting his Troop 92 to do some community service, and we focused on Partridge Hill. And Tom, you led that group to Secret Rock Island to do the trash cleanup and stuff like that. So
Thank you.
that's the individual. So he's reached out on behalf of the student council to ask if we could do, if he could do something. So I asked him about his time frame, and if it worked out, like and I told him, I said, if we could kind of slide this to the end of May or in May, when the brush starts to fill out a little bit more, and that's when we really can do a nice corridor clearing in the areas like near the cemetery. I'm thinking those areas get kind of closed in together, and we can cut those down, or off of Ward Road. We might have a couple of areas. Partridge Hill might need some trimming, that kind of stuff. I don't know how your area is looking, Isabel, off of Lattisquama. There might be some opportunity there.
Yeah, anytime we can get over there, it'd be great. We do have 2 trees on Partridge Hill. I think, did you mark them with those red?
I did, yeah.
And it's gotten worse, because one of the ones that came down is now sprouting. I was there Saturday. It's kind of difficult to get.
It is, and it's scary. So that's a DPW job. I'm going to reach out to them and see if they can help us. If they can't clear it, can they cut it to make it fall down so we can clear it or something, right? We just need.
The one that's down that has now sprouted, so that it's now difficult to get across.
Okay, so yeah, let me reach out to DPW on that. I was supposed to do that earlier, but I did not. But
would you like me to do? No, they like you.
Well, no, I'm actually working with DPW because someone ran over the town forest and the Sudbury Valley trustees post on the corner of Walnut and Oak Hill Road. So they're going to be reinstalling a post. So I'm already in touch with them on that.
They get the ones, we've got a couple others that are down that you're talking about. Now, are you talking about the wooden posts?
Well, yes. So this is a wooden post. You mean some of our posts are down? Where, like on Partridge, is there one near Partridge Hill that fell on White Bagley? I was trying to remember. There was something.
Yeah. So on White Bagley, there's one right by. We have 2. One that was sort of propped up within the guardrail.
Yep.
And it's gone down completely.
Okay.
And then another one that is still sort of precariously perched on a guardrail.
Are they both on White Bagley?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm wondering if we can incorporate that, if we could ask Recreation if we could get funding for a couple of posts. The pressure treated posts are really about $15, $6 for, concrete and a bag of gravel, we might be able to have the Boy Scouts help us do that. Or the high school council as part of the cleanup post installation type thing.
That'd be great.
Yeah, so that's good. Okay, so I'll keep you posted on what's going on with that. Any other questions or thoughts or discussion on cleanup? I think last time we discussed reaching out to MWRA and seeing if they could do a mow before June, sometime in May, so I could start that conversation with MWRA. Again, it's just a request where we're not necessarily able to, and it does depend. That area gets very wet along the open channel. So if we have a really wet spring, we can forget that. But if it's pretty dry and they can get out there, that would be good. But again, not until we have grass that's growing.
Have we ever had a conversation about getting a chipper for all of the trees that are down and putting the chips on the trail?
No, we have not had that conversation.
I'd like to propose that we add that to the agenda at some point.
Yeah, I'm just curious. So because our trees kind of, well, aside from Partridge Hill, where like we would just have endless amount of lumber to be able to do that with, because that's where all the trees fall. But because the trees fall all the way around town, do you mean you would drive the chipper around to chip?
Or just things like you mentioned White Bagley. Right now there are 2 or 3 trees that have come down. And, you know, between, I don't know if they're snake holes or whatever holes, but, you know, it gets a little bit dangerous. We always keep going with trying to dirt so that people don't break their ankles.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me if we could put, it would cause, you know, it'd be so natural to be able to have the trees, you know, chipped.
Does anyone on the committee know how to run a wood chipper?
I think we rent it from Office
Home Depot?
Depot.
Monica,
Can we rent someone to come with it and chip? Because I'm afraid of wood chipper.
the chipper, you just really throw things in it. It's a very powerful machine, but does the town actually have one? Can we, I mean, why would we rent one if the town has one? And not that we can borrow it.
Town might not want us borrowing it unless we have chipper certification.
How big the branches you are thinking of, Isabel?
That's a good point. We would have to bring it down small. I mean, the town has that big Mongo scary thing.
Right.
I was thinking about like one that you can get from Home Depot that's smaller that you sort of pull along.
How are you going to get it?
Twigs like this though, right?
Right.
I mean, you need a tow, like hitch to tow it, right? Or how are you
Hey,
thinking?
we could put it on my wagon, my little trail wagon.
No, I mean, it's not so simple.
I mean, we can look into options around that.
Yeah.
We'll just put it, I mean, it's worth investigating.
I have one electrical, but you know, that will not work.
Okay, so we'll keep that on the, thank you for bringing that up.
So Sati, can I borrow it sometimes?
Yeah, sure.
Isabel
Why
just
not?
wants to use another tool. Okay, so next is Peninsula Trail updates on DCR access, public access plan and MWA 8M permit. So a couple of things. I'll merge this conversation, interchange it with the CPA funding application since it's kind of all the same thing. So basically we heard from DCR, from Deputy Commissioner Nick Connors, that in an email that he confirmed that DCR would be prioritizing the public access plan this year, right? So that's the communication we needed, and that we could then go to the Board of Selectmen meeting with, and the advisory meeting and CPA meeting, CPC meeting, and say, hey, we have word from DCR. We still don't have a timeline, but they've committed. We've reached contact and we have. So that's good news. We have heard from MWRA also that we're able to get started with the 8M permit. They need some preliminary information from us. I think I need to resubmit the permit with updated information. And I have asked for clarification about the area that we had talked about. Instead of going along the Route 30, So if everyone, I'll share my screen one more time, or 3 more times probably. Okay, so everyone sees the peninsula here. I'm actually going to come out of satellite view here. And the trail comes along the dam here, and it's scheduled to go, or right now, go on Route 30 along here, and then we connect to our loop here. So what I'd like to do, and what I've asked the MWA before is, and this time is, can we try to find a way to just, they have a nice little section of grass here. Can we cut across this section and connect with the connector over here and just bypass Route 30 altogether? What it would require is some boardwalk along here and a small bridge across the Stony Brook. And I don't know if they're interested in entertaining that option, but I am trying to, I'm asking those questions to see if we can make that happen. So that's an outstanding question. But maybe if we get lucky, and that would be really great. And that would make if we're going after a Mass Trails grant, we could include that piece that makes it more expensive, boardwalk building, bridge building. We're not talking about a huge metal pedestrian bridge. We're talking about a wooden bridge, a small footbridge like we see off of Fay Athletics Fields, off of Middle Road. And so we'll see. And we would need to bring in some people who, we would need to work with Concom because there's some wetlands around there. So it might be challenging. The other thing about the trail, so we talked last time about ADA compliance. So I forgot to send over my specs, so I won't share that piece with you. But there's an app I used to measure slope. So there's 2 concerning slopes, right? Sati, you had mentioned that I used the resources that you provided from the trustees. And you mentioned last time that we need to identify what our slope is before we start to bring people into the conversation. So the first slope is here coming off of Route 30. The gate is right down here. I measured that slope and it exceeds what I think is the normal, what you can have is up to a 5% grade in your slope for like a minimal distance of maybe 30 feet or something like that. And there are some exceptions, but we exceed those exceptions is my understanding. And we can confirm this with professionals who understand that, but our slope goes up to like 10 or 11% grade here. If we move the fence, if we move the gate back, we've exceeded, we've passed one hurdle and we put the parking at the top. That was one option. Well, just as you come around the bend after you get to the riser shaft that we're fencing in, there's the pumping station, but right before the pumping station, there's a bend in the road and there's another slope. That slope also exceeds 5%. However, I was reading that there may be, it doesn't disqualify the trail necessarily from being compliant because there may be some exceptions that if it's impossible to change the slope, that there may be, most of this is accessible. And if you maybe, so that's where my knowledge starts to get a little gray, is that there may be an exception because we cannot alter the structure. If your grade exceeds the length that it's allowed, you're supposed to have landing spots for rest every so often, right? So depending on how long your distance is. And I think this second slope, we've measured it up to be about 98 feet long from start to finish. So it may be that if we built in some horizontal platforms, landing spots for if you're imagining a wheelchair going up a slope, you need a little spot to rest before you finish your journey. So there may be an option there. Obviously, everything needs to be approved and is dependent upon. So, but we're a few steps closer to understanding whether that's an option. This is 0.5 miles. I've measured it completely, so I'm pretty comfortable that it's 0.5 miles paved. And then then it's hard packed along here. So basically, someone that's mobility challenged would be able to go all along the trail except where it starts to slope down again. This is a very steep slope and it's very long. So I'm absolutely certain that there's not much that we could do to make this compatible in any way, but there isn't parking on this side anyway. So it may be that, again, I'm not giving up hope but we have a few more pieces of information, but other stuff that we have to confirm. So does anyone have any questions, or Sati, anything that you could add that you've learned that might be shed some light on this conversation?
Just one question. When you measured it, how accurate is I mean, 1% or here and there is fine, but
Yeah.
do you think that it is good?
No, I don't. I measured it 3 times and took an average of the 3.
No, the app itself.
Sorry, the
The
app.
app, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's just an app. It's just my phone, right?
Okay.
So it isn't going to be what we would use to do slope, but it gave us some idea,
Yep.
right? It's some idea. So the next step would be to get someone who has the instruments that would actually measure the slope.
I was asking if we can ask Jamie, the DCR
Yep.
person, if he can help us.
If they have some devices that
Yeah,
would.
they should be having, because they manage the property.
Well, yeah, I think someone in DCR Trails would have some equipment like that. That's a good point. Now, Jamie is the watershed division, right? They're not necessarily, they don't specialize in trails. They specialize in protecting the watershed. So, but I like your point, is that I bet someone at DCR could probably help us. And maybe we look for that contact. Jamie could maybe put us in touch with someone to have that conversation, and maybe we could walk with them. So that's great. Thank you. So I think, as I had mentioned or just notified, the Board of Selectmen met and we discussed the application. That went very smoothly. And a couple of very good points that I think we're going to be able to bring into when we do our Q&A session with the public that I'd like to highlight. Is one, the cost of the fence is expensive, one, because it's special specifications from MWRA, that they require 8-foot high barbed wire, a couple of gates, but also, and the cost of steel went up, obviously, but it went up, and we expected that with one of our quotes. Not one of our quotes, but we spoke with one of the vendors that had mentioned the steel prices would go up because of the supply and demand and COVID and the impacts of that. And then this type of fencing is standard for MWRA when they open up their properties, their aqueduct trails. There's a FAQ I had sent around that pointed to what a community might expect when you're opening up these types of trails. And so I think that this is really good information that we should share in our Q&A session so that people are aware some of the reasons why the fence is more expensive than what you would put up in your backyard, for example. And it's also very consistent with other parks, like where an MWRA is opening up trails next to other facilities. This is the type of fence that's put up. It's not to be a punitive experience, but it's more to put protection around an infrastructure that's really important, that's protecting water supply. So I think that's going to be one of the things that we want to highlight. Advisory, that meeting was a couple weeks ago. It went okay. They asked some really good questions. Their meeting last week, they asked some more good questions, and it was kind of on the fence, no pun intended, whether they were going to support the application. The concern was the fence cost. So we got through that. I sent some additional information. It sounded like they had some good questions, but I wasn't at the second meeting, so I wasn't able to answer those questions in person. So I sent a follow-up email, which just gave them some background information into the number of quotes we provided or we received in order to get the estimate, and the number of fence contractors we reached out to, the number of sign contractors we reached out to ensure that, we were trying to get the best price. So that was helpful information. So I was really pleased when they voted, everyone voted in favor except for the one who abstained. So that's positive. So our next step is to figure out a date in May to do a Q&A session. So town meeting is May 22nd. And so we need to figure out, I think last meeting we talked about the beginning of May being a week that we'd want to target something like this. And so if you guys want to open your calendars, I had a suggestion of May. Let me pull up a calendar here. This is April. Let's go to May. Okay, so I have a master plan meeting on the 5th, and I don't know when Board of Selectmen, we might want to stay away from Tuesday because Board of Selectmen typically go, and the Concom has a meeting on the 13th. So we might be able to choose Thursday the 6th. And I think we had kind of talked about we'd use Monday the 3rd as maybe a backup plan, but Monday is kind of a tough day in general for some of us. So do you guys have any thoughts on whether the 6th might work for you, or any thoughts about having that be our date?
6th is fine.
Are we,
that's
Sam is on the line right now. Are we confirmed that it was May 22nd for the town meeting?
I think it's still being advertised that.
Is it? Okay. All right. No
Yeah,
worries.
they're going to print with the warrant. Not that that means things can't change. But. So you think that might work? And we could do like, what time should we do? Should we do a 6?
Well, the only suggestion I would, I hate to do this and I hate to say it, but we should have at least more than one informational session. If people can make it on the 6th.
Hey, what if we record it and they can listen to it?
That's true too. Why don't we do that and just advertise it? I do like the Zoom recordings. Now the only thing is, it's town meeting we said is on the 22nd.
Yep.
That gives 1-2 weeks for people. Yeah, 6 should work.
And I'm thinking you don't want it too far in advance, because then they'll kind of forget about it. It's still hot topic, and we can still do outreach after the 6th. So we can send that recording around. We can, make sure. And one idea was, in prep for this, is that we should have a web page on our website dedicated to this project. So we'll have our application there. We'll have the hard questions already answered, have everything kind of presented for people, and we'll direct people there, right? When the recording is done, we can link to the site, that just one-stop shop. And so that way, everything's in one. So what do you guys think of that?
I like it.
I don't think we need to do anything else. I mean, that's a lot. I think that's great.
Yeah, I agree. I personally don't think we're gonna get any flack about it. I know advisory, I watched the meeting and stuff. Most of their concerns were, we have to do prevailing wage. We have to do the specifications. We have no choice. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't see a lot of flack with this at all.
You don't think if you can imagine town meeting in the last 3 years and who comes to the mic and what they, talk about, which are all good, very good detailed questions, and they, count the pennies. If we've seen every committee that we've been in front of have an issue with the cost, I kind of feel like, I'd love for people to come to that general consensus that things are good, but I think their initial thought is like, wait, what? You want me to vote to spend what amount?
I think there are going to be a lot more people who are thinking about the bell tower.
Oh yeah, and the townhouse, and using up all CPA funds. I agree with you there. So I don't know the order. I find out. But if we're one of the first ones before those two, that'd be good.
Yeah. I think right now we're number 22, which is.
But are the CPC articles, are we the first, second, third, or fourth?
I'm not sure. I don't know. If anyone has a copy, I think Mark Purple sent it out to the committee members, but I don't know what number it is. But okay. So maybe we could just say our project is not as expensive as all these other projects, so vote yes. Maybe that's our tagline.
No. I think you answered all the questions from the advisory. I really don't see, and I guess you had all the answers. So it's not like misinformation or we're hiding anything.
Yep.
If someone does come from the microphone, why does the fence cost so much? We have to do prevailing wage.
Mhm.
MWRA has specifications on piping and piping and quality of service, quality of product.
Mhm.
We got 3 separate vendors and they all came in within, what, 3% of each other?
Mhm. I want to reach out. I want to reach those people before they come to the mic. Is it possible? Can we reach
Yes.
people?
So one of the other things we could do is we could propose to bring it forward. What we can say is we anticipate that there's a great deal of conversation that will be needed for the 2 other articles. So we propose that we bring that one forward, bring the trails first.
So we would do that like on the floor.
So what you can do is say, okay, we recognize that CPC has 3 things here. 2 of them we believe are going to require a good deal of conversation within the community. So we propose that we take the little one first, and let's address that to give time for the other 2.
Are we the little one?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for
We're
clarifying.
the best one, but we're the least expensive.
Yeah. Actually, the least expensive one is historical because they're just doing an assessment for the that little building that we're always in, the museum, that we will one day go back to for our meetings, hopefully.
Oh, okay. So Sam says the fence is the last of the 8 CPC articles.
Oh, geez, Sam.
Uh,
Killing us.
All right.
So I still propose that we say, I don't think there's anything wrong with proposing the idea that it be brought forward. The worst that happens is people say, no, keep it where it is.
Okay.
I do like that idea, Isabel. If it is that the last one, and
They're going to be
And by the-
tired. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll see what we can do. I don't know what we can do, but I'm glad you guys brought that up. I didn't even think about that. By the time they get to us, they're going to be so tired. They're not going to want to vote at all. Okay. Okay. So let's do it on the 6th. And so I've reached out to Tim Davis. Did you say the 6th worked for you, Tom?
Yep.
And should we do it at 6 p.m.? Is that a good time? People getting off work? I don't know. People with
no, I think that's too early.
It is? So it's dinner time. You're right.
Yes.
So people with kids, what time would you go? What time would you schedule? 7?
7 or 7:30.
You don't think it's too late?
No,
Okay. So
7 o'clock. I would do 7 o'clock.
All right, let's do 7 p.m. Okay.
You fed the
then-
kids, and then you can jump in and ask
Okay.
questions and listen.
So I reached out to Tim Davis to ask him about the technology. Is Zoom the right technology? Because we want to be able to unmute people so they can chat. And we don't know how many. And I asked him, I've been to other Zoom sessions where they have maxed out at 300. Now, of course, it's fantasy thinking that we'd ever get 300. But I do like numbers, so you never know. And I don't want to run into that problem. So I asked him about some limitations just to make sure the town Zoom is the right tool for the job. And then I thought that we could use Eventbrite. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Eventbrite for scheduling free events. It's a platform that allows you to have people register. I would like them to register, and this is why, and I want your thoughts on it, because we can communicate to an email distribution list for those that have signed up. Even if they can't attend, we can send the recording to them directly after the meeting, and then we know how many people are coming, for example, as well. So it won't just be a trails committee meeting that people are showing up to or not. They get to actually register to attend. What do you think?
I like the idea. I think we also want to make it clear to people that they can just kind of chime in, that they don't have to register.
Yeah, that's a good point. So can we keep registration open so the thing is, I don't know if you have a bypass, then you're advertising 2 options. You can either register or you can go directly to Zoom, right? So I think that might get confusing if you're saying there's 2 ways to do it. But let me think. I guess we could think about how that would work. If we keep tickets open, people can register like while the event's going on, so they can access it like a live webinar immediately. But-
You know what? Let's check with Jim and make sure it's okay, because we have to follow all the open meeting laws. And if it's a ticketed event, that might change things.
Okay, so good point, ticketed and open meeting law, but we can post it as a meeting, a public meeting, because we'll have to follow all the rules. And that's why I started the conversation. So that's good. I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't think about tickets at all. The other thing is, if Zoom, so I'm not sure how we would need a town moderator, right? Because they're gonna have to run the technology. And then I don't know how, I don't want to have to promote everyone to a panelist to talk. And I don't know if I only want them to chat, right? I kind of want it to be a conversation.
Right.
Then just have them just set the ground rules.
Yeah.
If you have it, you listen, it's a listen only. If you have any questions, please add it to the chat.
So you want it to be listen only versus have people,
No, we'll have a Q&A. I think we should have a Q&A section.
so do you want, I mean, are people actually talking? Or is it chat only questions?
You can, we can have the moderator mute everyone else as you're presenting
Yes.
our proposal.
Mm,
And then what we can do is we can take questions. One of the things that I do when I'm facilitating meetings very often is I'll have a moderator.
Yep.
Will be reading the chat and reading the questions.
Yep.
And what she'll do is she kind of goes through them, bundles them, cleans them up a little, and then presents it to the committee.
Oh, so is that the way we want to do it versus having like a real session where, not a real, not that that's fake, but have a session where people can actually speak, like a public comment.
I
Do
think
both. Give them the option.
But that will not, I mean, speaking will not work. How do you control that? I think what Isabel is saying is correct. I mean, that way it should be that you collect the questions, and then this moderator will convey the questions one by one to the committee.
Right.
We still have to abide by the open meeting laws, though. We don't want anyone to ever say that their question wasn't addressed or they didn't get an opportunity to speak.
Yeah.
And we want to, I kind of was hoping for more of a conversational style versus if we're doing all the talking and we never, I'm curious. So like, for example, using GoToWebinar software, you can unmute the participant if they have a question, right? I don't know how it works with Zoom. Like as a moderator, I don't know if you can unmute.
So Catherine, are you the Zoom master of this call?
I have an option to raise someone, allow to talk. You can allow them to talk. Okay.
Yeah. And you can have everybody on mute.
Okay.
You raise your hand if you want to speak. It will go in order. And then most people are not going to talk. Some are just going to add a question in the chat.
Okay. No, I like the idea of having a moderator, someone who's clean, making sure those questions are, but I also like the idea of giving someone the option to speak, because more than one so it's not just a flat one-way, one-sided conversation. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good. So we've got the date, we've got the time. So now we need to start kind of advertising that out and getting people and figuring out, so to reach out to Jim Hegarty and Tim and make sure how do we want to do this with any kind of registration. And I know that registration is kind of a weird thing, but there's something about it that collecting the email addresses for those who have demonstrated interest will give us an option to reach out to them directly.
Yeah, as soon as you say registration, the little hairs on the back of my neck go up when I start thinking about it.
Yeah, me too. This is a public forum. It's not that I have to register to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We
Jim
certainly,
Haggerty would give us the, yay
Yeah.
and nay on that.
No, I hear you. And I'm merging my event hat with my town meeting hat. So or town, committee meeting.
and what we also can do is ask people if they want to just put their emails into the chat. We can add them to our listserv to get information
Yep.
On this
Perfect.
project. Yeah.
or on this project or anything having to do with trails. And then we can also advertise, our webpage and our Facebook page.
Yeah.
So definitely use it as a marketing tool, but I want to do it in a way where it doesn't seem like we're being restrictive in any way, shape, or form.
No, I don't want to be restrictive. And actually what I'm hoping to do is be inclusive by doing that, right? And getting them the information they want and need. Okay, that's great. So it sounds like, so we'll need to do some planning around this. And it's already April, what is it?
14th.
14th.
So we might need a second April meeting. Will that give anyone heartburn if we schedule a second meeting to do some planning around this, since that seems to be the only way we can do anything?
No, that's fine.
How is the 28th if I just throw that out there? It's
Should work.
It's a Wednesday and we don't have master plan. So 6:30, does that work for you, Sati?
Yes.
And awesome. Okay, great. So thank you very much for that. And we'll also have another reason on the 28th to meet. So I think we've talked about that enough, and we've updated everything on number 5. Okay. Lynbrook Road. So there was a complaint for Lynbrook Road where the Burroughs Loop. I guess the best thing I should do is share my screen because I already pulled it up, I think. Okay. You can see what I have now. I have all of our GIS up. Do you see my screen?
Very impressive.
Right. So Lynbrook here, and the trail goes along this way here. This is the open channel, and it crosses Lynbrook here. You're supposed to walk across the bridge and then go here. So there's some unofficial parking along the road here, just at the bridge. And so there's been a complaint that people are walking on the wrong side of the open channel. So like I said, this is the right side, and Beals Preserve is over here. And I think there's this must be the bridge that's not on the map, but that's the Beals Bridge that crosses from Chestnut Hill Road. Are you guys familiar with how that connects to Beals? So people must be walking along the road, the side here. So I'm going to, Sudbury Valley Trustees receives the complaint, probably because they maintain the Burroughs Loop trail. So he's going to take off he isn't Dan Stimson who does the mapping. He's going to take off the P's, no parking. We're not going to advertise parking on Lynbrook anymore. And we're going to take it off of our maps to appease the individual who had issued the complaint. And then I'm going to work with Sulf, who owns the Beals Preserve, and we're going to put up a little post right at the bridge as a reinforcement marker to keep going across the bridge. And so that will be just a little reinforcement to people if they seem to forget what side the trail is on, that will prevent people from walking. And, even if this is public land, because there's a buffer, it still feels like you're in someone's front or backyard. It's backyard rather. And so we want to just make sure that we're doing our part to prevent trail users from using the wrong side.
Just to clarify, going across the bridge that is not shown right here, it's going up that small strip of land up to Route 30 is the trail.
Right. And so just remember, there's a house right here.
It is driveway right there.
And you're not allowed to drive in the driveway. You can walk in the driveway and you can park along Route 30. There's some off-road parking here, and the shoulder is very wide, so you can safely park. Walk down here, cross. There is a right of way that Beals owns. It just feels like you're in someone's driveway. And there's a metal gate. You open and close the gate very carefully, and there's a little hook of chain. You can do that. Or if you want, you can just walk across this field. I think this land is being given or donated to Beals, so they're gonna. You can walk across here as well.
Yeah, I think there's a mode track through that now.
Yeah. So when they do art on the trails, if they're doing it again, they'll sometimes open this up to parking. If you guys have attended. So that's an update on Lynbrook and what we're doing there. Any questions or discussion? Okay. Grant opportunities. So last time we talked about, and we're almost done, I promise. Last time we talked about partnering with Stewardship Committee to submit a small grant proposal for the Choate Fund, the same grant proposal that we, similar to the one we submitted last year. So we have discussed what we're going to do is basically most of the proposal is centered around the trails in the town forest to put some trail names up, signs up, and some regulatory signs, some do's and don'ts, permitted uses, map boards, because there's really nothing around the town forest that helps guide people and navigate people. There's also a grad student that's working with the stewardship committee. This is a really exciting project that has, she is building, she's an artist, so she's developed all these educational materials about the birds that live in the forest and just fact sheets and stuff, and then some fun like backyard bird bingo, and some scavenger hunt, go find these things. So those types of things to help people identify with the forest, what's in the forest, the different types of the animals, the wildlife, the birds. And then she's built about 8 very artistic bird houses that they're not fairy houses, but they have very unique characteristics. Each one does. So they're really, it's a bird house, but it's an art piece. That's a birdhouse, if you can think of it like that. And these 8 birdhouses are going to go up all around the town forest. And she also made these figurines, and mostly using reclaimed materials. So she didn't go out and buy stuff, and she, tried, some of it's like clay and whatnot, but some figurines that will go up. And there's, one of the educational pieces that she made was go find 1, 2, 3, and 4. And can you find this? So, so this project kind of help support that project what we're trying to do is just utilize the town forest in a way it hasn't been used. So it's an additional resource that many people don't know we have here in town. So this grant will help with that. And the part that brings the Trails Committee into it is our dog waste educational signs that we discussed putting together. So that will be a large part of it. Is we want to put up dog waste signs at key locations that don't currently have signage, and then do an outreach program for about a month and a half, 2 months, reaching out to all the outreach partners that we have, kind of getting the word out, putting on our website, Facebook. These are the reasons why we're dog friendly, and you can bring your dogs here and there, but we still have to pick up after our waste. And pick up after our dogs because we're in watershed property, and we want to protect our water. So that's kind of the idea. And so the signage I was proposing, we look at something like at Deerfoot. There's no signage really that says no dogs along the open channel there. Ward Road is another one. Partridge Hill is a good one. Our kiosks already have signage, so they're not needing signage there. And there might be another couple of key locations that don't have signage, but that would be useful. And these would be aluminum signs, so they would last a while. And we would try to use existing posts where we can. So any questions? I think we talked a little bit about this last time. I showed some pictures of what we were looking for. Any thoughts or comments on okay, so we do need to take an official vote to submit, and I think we're going to have stewardship lead the proposal, so it will be under stewardship's letterhead, and Joyce Greenleaf is the chair of stewardship. So the trails will partner with stewardship in that way to submit the proposal. So stewardship earlier met and voted, so we would be looking for a vote, a motion from one of you to move forward and submit a proposal that is due April 30th, and we can discuss any details that are left on the 28th.
Okay, what would be involved in putting together the proposal?
So it's similar to last year, just a couple pages. They're just looking for a project scope, budget, and I think there was one other piece like purpose or who it benefits, that type of thing. So pretty straightforward, not nearly as detailed as a Mass Trails grant.
I propose that we go forward with it.
Great.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Great. And let's do a roll call vote. Isabel Murphy.
Yes.
Tom McCoolier.
Yes.
Great. And Satyendra Sharma.
Yes.
Great. Catherine McKee. Yes. Thank you all. So, and I think that's it. One little piece, the map boxes we talked about last time, we were going to, so I picked them up from Tim Davis. we're replacing the screws with galvanized screws to make sure they're rust resistant. And then those are pretty much ready to go. I picked up just some little notepads, just big enough to fit in the boxes with some pencils, Ziploc, and some wet ones. So the wet ones are for our hands, thinking it's just an extra precaution for COVID. If you're concerned about COVID, you can, wipe off the pen. And I'm going to put something nice and sweet and really ask them not to litter those wet ones and just, bring them with them or whatever. So if we start seeing that that's litter on the trail, then I'm going to have to take those out right away. But it's just a courtesy. If people are uncomfortable grabbing a pencil that someone else has grabbed, I'm just belts and suspenders, making sure, and what we're asking people to do again is just sign the logbook, let us know you've been there. You don't have to put your full name. We're just looking for some unofficial stats of who's using the trail. And then if you feel so inspired to write a little poem or a little positive message for the next person that, this is something similar to what they do on other trails, longer trails, obviously, and have a little fun with it. So we'll put those up at locations. So that will be going up in the next couple weeks. And I think that's that. So anything else on these topics that we haven't talked about that you are interested in sharing? No? Okay, great. So we'll get working on I guess I should follow up with a conversation before our public outreach. We're going to want to, before our listening session, we're going to want to reach out to some of the abutters along the Peninsula Trail and let them know that, this is a project coming out at town meeting. It's going to impact them because they're neighbors. And we want to invite them to contact us with some questions, concerns, and we want to do this before the listening session. So I'm going to be working with Melissa from Concom to look at the letter, reach out to them, ask them to contact me directly with any concerns or questions, invite them to the listening session if they want. I'll give them all the information they need in advance. But the idea is we don't want to surprise anybody. And we don't want them to come to town meeting and that be the first time they ever hear of this. So I think it will do us, and we might learn something like learning that, installing trees for a screen where it's open might make the neighbors, feel a little more secure. I did do a count. There's about, if we put trees every 6 feet, and I don't know the actual footage that you need to put them in. It depends on the tree and this, that, and the other. But there's about, if we did it, you would get about 18 trees. So that's something that we'd be able to price out, for example, in the grant. And again, I think we talked about not buying little tiny trees, but buying trees that are tall enough to grow fast and make a real difference pretty soon. So people aren't waiting for 10 years for some privacy, as an example of what we could do to help be good neighbors. So we'll be doing that as well. All right, well, thanks everyone. So we'll meet on the 28th at 6:30. I'll go ahead and try to reserve the room. Oh, you know what? And I will also be reserving something for technology for the 6th, right? I need to figure that out with Tim. So does someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
Sure. I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I will second that.
Thank you, Isabel, and thank you, Tom. Let's do a roll call vote. Isabel Murphy?
Yes.
Tom McCoolier?
Yes, sorry.
Satyendra Sharma?
Yes.
Great, and Kat McKee? Yes, wonderful. And I'll see Isabel and Sati on Sunday at 1.
Oh, I can also make it. Why are you excluding me there, Kat?
Oh, I didn't even hear that you could. Were you off camera or were you?
I could have been because I was
petting Winston.
I was eating dinner. Sorry, that's why I made myself off video.
Okay. Oh, great. So Tom's there. Perfect. So if you have any saws or hand saws or things like that, loppers, that kind of stuff, that'd be helpful. Okay.
Is that confirmed on the 18th, or you're waiting to hear back from the?
No, it's confirmed. I gave him the dates a while ago, but I just need to make sure how many boys are showing up or scouts. I thought it doesn't matter. They're scouts. So yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Thanks everyone. Have a great night.
Great,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Bye, everybody.